everybody, welcome to my next video. I gotta find a better way of getting in here. Today we're gonna be doing Mongolian beef. It's a simple dish, it's a delicious dish. If you like beef, this is the thing for you to do. Served over a bed of rice with a little bit of broccoli in with it. Oh, it is delicious. So what we're gonna do is take it step by step. Remember, my videos are a little bit longer so that you have time to see each step while it's being prepared. We have a special guest today. Kimmel is showing up and helping us today. So let's get started. And I want to put a special invitation out to newest friend of mine, Austin, up in Canada. Austin, let's get you into some classes, buddy. As each ingredient shows up on the screen for you, I will be putting the amount needed for your size dish. I'm going to be tripling or even quadrupling my batch. So just pay attention to the amounts that I put on the screen for you. 1 tablespoon brown sugar, 1 teaspoon black pepper, 2 tablespoons soy sauce, 2 tablespoons rice wine vinegar, 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce, and 4 minced garlic cloves. True Mongolian beef calls for flank steak. A lot of what we do and most of our cooking is done with what we have left over, what's in our house. This was just happened to be left over. We have 2 pounds. The recipe calls for 1 pound, but we're going to use it up before we have a chance of it to go bad. Then it calls for 1 tablespoon of salt. We're going to be using MSG today. I like the flavor. It's had a bad reputation for a lot of years. If you've eaten accent throughout your life, you've eaten MSG. It got a bad reputation from a single report or study from many, many years ago that was later debunked. Next, I'm going to be using a little bit of my rice wine. I actually have sake I'm going to be using today. The amount we want to use, you can use a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on your taste. 2 teaspoons. You do not need much of this. We're going to be doubling ours today, so everything I'm telling you now is for a 1 pound. I'll be doubling everything for 2 pound. Next is 2 teaspoons of olive oil. I use an old, beautiful looking wine bottle, and I use it. I fill it with my olive oil, and I put a little bar pourer cap on the top. It's kind of nice, makes it easy. To help make the breading for our steak, we're going to be using 1/3 cup of cornstarch. And finally, I have some white onions that we'll be cutting up for scallions, and the onion bulbs we'll be cutting up for flavors. So let's get started. I almost forgot that the true Mongolian beef comes with white onion. This is an onion I have left over from a dish from last night. It's a yellow onion. I'm going to use it anyway. Okay, we're going to take our beef, cut it up piece by piece. If you want to take the fat pieces off, you can see that there's a fat strip on some of them. You're not going to find it if you use a real flank steak like this. Your meat has grain the way it runs. If you look closely, you can see the grain of this one runs this way. So they cut it against the grain to make it more tender, which is good. And you can see which way the grain is running. It's actually running through the steak. So what we're going to do is just simply cut off 1/4 inch strip. About like that is perfect. And there we have it. Beautiful 2.5 pounds of steak, sliced thin. Some of them are thinner than others, but it's going to work beautiful. All right, our next step is to get a nice large mixing bowl. Put all of our steak in, let it sit. Next we're going to add MSG. It says 1 teaspoon. I'm going to add 3 because I'm actually going to triple my batch. Pinch for Uncle Roger. Next, 2 tablespoons of wine. I'm going to add 1, 2, 3. Same amount of oil as we did wine. Remember, I'm using olive oil. Some of my other dishes soon, I'll be using canola oil for frying. Now next it calls for 1/3 cup of cornstarch. You can use potato starch. Most kitchens are just going to have regular old Argo cornstarch lying around. So we need 1/3 cup. So I'm going to add, it's a blur ball. That much right there. And now we're going to mix it together. Make sure you get all that cornstarch mixed in. Get your liquid all over your meat. Get your cornstarch all over your meat. It's going to have a little bit of a funny smell from the wine. You're going to smell that, but that's okay. Now we're going to let it just sit. Okay, now we're going to make our sauce. We're going to start with our brown sugar. Remember, I'm triple or quadrupling mine. Be a little more than you're going to be using. Now comes the black pepper. If you have a peppercorn grinder lying around, You can use it if you like. I would suggest half and half. So we're going to put a little bit of the peppercorn in there. But we're going to finish with just something that we can measure out for the purely ground black pepper. Now for our soy sauce, we're going to put in 4 tablespoons. We want ours a little bit saucier. I'm going to have 1 more. Now for the rice wine vinegar. And now the garlic. Like I said earlier, you can use garlic cloves, mince them up yourself. This is something I mentioned earlier, and I'll tell you again. It's called minced garlic. It's already minced. Online, they'll call it jarlic, because it's chopped garlic in a jar. It's kind of a put down, a little bit of an insult, like it's a shortcut. It's garlic. It's beautiful. It tastes great. If this is what you have, use it. If this is what you have, use it. I'm going to use half and half to show that either one works. Now, when you're using the jarlic, the chopped garlic, don't drain off the juice. The juice is your friend. And let's give it a bit of a stir. And now we're going to finish chopping up our onion. Now for your green onion, make sure you wash them first. Peel off any of the skin that is slimy or soft. Cut off the ends first. You're not going to need that part there. And then if you see any of the paper, the onion paper, remove it. Now this, you want to also do the same thing. Cut off the end, remove it. You got a cutting board with little letters in it, and it doesn't always cut all the way through. And we're going to cut these into bigger pieces than just for decoration for the top. This is actually going to be a big part of the meal. So we want them bite size, just like that. And then discard what we cut off the ends. Now it looks like I got a little bit out of order, so we forgot to add our oyster sauce to our sauce there. So it needs 2 tablespoons. I'm going to add 3. It's thick. It comes out thick. You can blurble it. If you've been following me or you're in any of my classes, blurble comes from the heart. All right, time to start cooking off our meat. As you can see, I like cast iron. Lodge. I think there's no better cast iron you can buy for your money than Lodge. Everything I use is Lodge, right down to the little cast iron bowls I serve it in when I heat them up. I'll serve it in this. I'll put the rice in and the Mongolian beef over the top, and I will heat these in the oven for just a few minutes so they're not cold. Okay, we're going to turn our burner on too high. We're going to get it to heat up. In my cooking classes, I teach everybody that when your hand, 8 inches above the pan, feels as hot as the pan should be, you're ready to go. This one's not there, so we're going to let it heat a little bit more. Never touch the pan. Never touch the handles. This is cast iron. One more check. Ooh, plenty hot enough. Let's go. We're going to be cooking in canola oil. Canola oil, it has a higher flash point than olive oil. We're going to give that a minute to get hot. We're going to rework our beef one more time. We're going to start laying it in there. You can hear that sizzle. I love the sizzle of meat hitting the pan. I love that sizzle. That's our first batch. We're going to move that around. We're going to turn the heat down to 6. We put it on high to get it hot. We're going to keep it moving around. We want it to cook evenly. We don't want it to burn. We don't want it to stick. Looking pretty good. My dog's here helping. See if that lighting helps. Yeah, I think it does. Starting to brown up nicely. Whoa. Now, I've said many times, I don't like taking anything out of grease and putting it on a paper towel, because the paper towel will soak up the grease for a moment. But then all you have is beef sitting in a paper towel covered in grease. And I don't like that at all. There's our next batch of beef going in. And that's the last half of it right there. Do some moving around so it has a chance to get heat everywhere while it's cooking down. I always scrape the sides. I tell everybody, that's flavor right there. That's just flavor happening right there. We're going to add just a little bit more oil. Some of it's cooking away. There we go. Once you've removed the beef, put the onions right in that same oil. Let it cook down. Let that side cook down to it. You get the little crunchy bits in there, that flavor I told you about. Let those onions cook up. Oh, that's my bird. If you've watched my videos before, you know he's there. He knows food's being made. He wants some. We don't have to cook them down a lot. just a bit. Now I've got somebody that doesn't like onion, so over here we're going to cook a little bit off without onion. We're going to finish in there. We're going to put 3/4 of our beef back in, 1/4 of it over here, let that cook up, let that cook down. Now we're going to add our sauce. The sauce will cause all of that flavor that's stuck to the pan to loosen up and mix in with the beef. Oh, that smells so good. Let that flavor from the bottom rise. We're going to turn the heat down to medium. We're going to let it sit and cook for a little bit. Over here, we just have the sauce and the beef. A little bit of that crispiness from the bottom. And we're just going to let it simmer. Now the cornstarch that we used on the beef should be enough of its own accord to make a cornstarch slurry that'll thicken. If not, we can make one and make the sauce a little bit thicker, which we might do. Now we're going to turn this one down to low. We're going to leave this one on high because the pan hasn't been on very long. We're going to throw in our onion. Now remember, Mongolian beef is going to have a bit of a earthy taste. It's going to be a strong, not sweet taste. If you're going for sweet and you want it a little bit sweeter, you can add more brown sugar. You could add pineapple juice, whatever you like. This one we're going to have to make it a little slurry for because it's not going to thicken. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. A cornstarch slurry is a very easy thickening agent. You're going to add 2 spoonfuls cornstarch and then the exact same amount of water. I prefer cold water. It seems to have a better reaction when you put it into the heat. Stir it up nicely. And then you add what you need, add the liquid, and stir it as you go. As long as you're adding this slurry to hot, you don't need a lot. It'll react pretty quickly. As you can see right there, that made a very thick, almost gravy coating, and that's all we're going to need. How are we doing over here? This is looking pretty good. We're going to add just a couple of spoonfuls is all we need over here. We're going to turn that heat back up a little bit to medium. We're going to turn this heat up, and our Mongolian beef is done. Okay, now we're going to make rice. I buy mine in the Amish markets close by Pineview. I use long grain white rice. There are a lot of ways and a lot of methods people will tell you how to cook rice. Alright, you're going to need whatever amount of rice, twice as much water. If you start with 1 cup of rice, 2 cups of water. 2 cups of rice, 4 cups of water. Okay, water's boiling, 4 cups. We're going to add 2 cups of rice. It stops boiling immediately, so we're going to stir the rice and let it come back to a boil. Now that it's boiling, we're going to put the lid back on, turn it to low, and let it sit for about 15 minutes. Okay, here comes my favorite part. Let's get a bit of rice, beef, everything in one bite. Oh my gosh, that is so good. I wish you could be here. I hope you wish you could be here too. Go make this. You will love this. Watch for the end. See all my assistants. This is a great day. You're going to love this. One last thing, folks. If you have a small human that wants to try out any class on OutSchool, whether it be cooking with me, painting, arithmetic, learning how to ride a horse, camping, all those things, you can get a free class up to $20 using the coupon code Chef KenDad 20. It's case sensitive. Type it in just as you see here. You can use it to get the class with me. You can use it to get a class with anybody on OutSchool. And I promise that's the last thing I want to say, except for a whole bunch of other things. We'll see you soon. Well, folks, it looks like we ran out of time tonight. Went a little bit over on what our budget allows. So we're going to have to give our apologies to Jimmy Kimmel. Hopefully we can fit him in next week. Before you leave, Jimmy, I need the keys for that rental car and the door key for the hotel for tonight. We're going to try to save that money and just let you head back tonight. So that's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. It's been a delicious dish, and maybe we'll get Jimmy in next week.